Today we're going to learn a bit about the history of rubber. Rubber comes in its natural form from a tree called the Avea brasiliensis, which was discovered by Native Americans thousands of years ago. And they would get it from the tree by cutting into the tree, extracting the liquid latex, curing it over a fire. They'd do all sorts of things with it, like make giant rubber balls, which they used to play a game called tlatlik, which was kind of a cross between basketball and soccer, except that at the end of the game they'd kill whoever won. And it wasn't until much later that Europeans discovered the rubber, and it was kind of a novelty item at first. No one really cared. But at one point Macintosh realized that he could take this liquid latex, dissolve it in ether, which is a strong solvent, and then he could soak fabric in it, and then when the fabric would dry, it would leave a rubber coating on it. And with that, he started selling waterproof clothing, which was great until it got a lot colder and it became brittle and it would shatter. You couldn't really move around. And then in the summer, it would start melting and getting goopy, and it didn't really work very well. And most of the people who invested in the rubber market at that time lost a lot of money. Novelty items in stores were all melting off the shelves. The profits literally melted away. So the problem is that the latex is made of long chains of organic molecules, monomers. They repeat. And when they heat up, they slide past each other and become liquidy at a very low temperature. And so it wasn't a while until Charles Goodyear started looking into this problem and trying to find a solution. He experimented with all sorts of things, trying to use things like magnesium to try to get the rubber to be thicker and not so goopy. But those things didn't really work until eventually he tried using sulfur. Now, with sulfur, one time he went into a store to try to demonstrate what he was trying to do with the sulfur and the rubber, and everyone just laughing at him, and he had this thing of sulfur in his hand. We'll pretend this is sulfur. He got so angry just shaking it around that suddenly something like that happened. Mixing the sulfur and the latex. And what they found was that left on the stove was a charred residue which had the properties they needed. It was a lot tougher and it wouldn't melt. Because what happened is that the sulfur was able to cross-link all the long chains, so they would all hold together, and they would do this at a higher temperature and they would stay solid. So then they had a rubber material which was rigid, and they used it in all sorts of things like spatulas, cups, and it all worked great, and further developments are still being made today with catalysts and accelerators to make better polymers.